Straits of Hormuz, which has probably been talked about more over the past 2 weeks than it has over the past, 2-3 years. And I think it's important to unpack what impact it would have if Iran decided to close them, or it, shall we say. And, it makes big headlines. So I'll start off with saying that those risks are probably overblown. And I'll talk a little bit about why. Now, first off, why are they important? Well, about a fifth of global oil and natural gas supply runs through, or liquefied natural gas, not total natural gas, but liquefied natural gas shipments go through the Strait of Hormuz. And most of it doesn't flow here, however. It flows to places like China, places like Japan, mainly in Asia overall. And it's not just it wouldn't just hurt those that export in that region, countries that export in that region. It would also hurt Iran as well. So don't think that they can do this without taking some pain. Now, as of June 21st, just a few days ago, 122 vessels passed through the strait during that one day. On average, last year in June, 114 vessels passed through. So it's a lot, right? Over 100 each day, moving mainly oil and liquefied natural gas. And that amounts to about 20 million barrels per day, which equates to about 20% of global oil and global oil output. And obviously, if that was lost, any commodity is priced at the margin, meaning it's that what's the cost to deliver that last barrel, right? When you see that price of any commodity, it's that last trade that you're seeing. It's not all the other trades that have happened over the past couple of days. It's that last trade. So that's why when you see that price, it's the marginal barrel, the cost of that marginal barrel. Now, continental Europe and China would lose out the most from this because they're heavily reliant on imported energy. And they don't have a lot of domestic energy production like we do here in the US. Now, the UK has a good amount. They're in the European region. They're the ones that are probably most insulated from this potential shock. And we're very insulated because we are actually net exporters of oil. People don't realize that yet. I don't know why, but the facts are the facts. We don't really need the Middle East oil. We import some of it. That's true, but mainly because refineries are set up to refine it, because when we first started to be reliant on oil for our energy consumption, we were importing a lot from the Middle East. But now that's no longer needed as much. And so we actually import very little from the Middle East now. And overall, we're net exporters, means we ship a lot of oil elsewhere, especially liquefied natural gas. Okay. Now, countries in the Middle East that would be hurt by this: Saudi Arabia, obviously, the UAE, Kuwait, and Qatar. Those are mainly the ones around that region that ship through this strait. And if this were to happen, certainly you'd probably have oil over $100 per barrel. So that's certainly true. But as I said earlier, Iran has a lot to lose because that would cut their own oil supply and their own source of capital, because they also use that strait. And if there were problems, right, you'd have probably other, they say they want to shut it except for Iran tankers. Well, they probably have more military action in that zone, and probably Israel or other countries might come and attack their vessels, and it would be quite the standoff, and it would certainly impact inflation, impact economic growth. Most likely, though, it would be very short term. And it would also anger a lot of oil producing neighbors in the region. Some of them are actually allies of Iran, right? Friendlier to Iran. And, do you want to piss off those people or those countries? Probably not. So that's why I think the odds of it are a bit overblown. There are other actions that Iran can take that are that create less blowback. I love that term because it is so important. A lot of military action does create blowback. That takes time to manifest, and that's more likely what they will do. But it is important to understand the potential impact, and hopefully that gave you a good breakdown of what the meaning of closing the Straits of Hormuz would actually mean for the global economy.